Welcome to our I Am Workshop Conversation Series, a transformative journey designed to inspire self-discovery and ignite your creative spirit. With your hosts, Anna Maria Davalos, Maria Langs, and Maclovia Martel. Today's guest is Erin Langs. She provides mental health curriculum and classes to schools and workplaces so individuals can learn how to safely and appropriately support anyone who is facing a mental health challenge or crisis. Thank you for being here. Welcome, Erin.
Welcome, Erin.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
What experience has transformed you from who you were before to who you are now?
Okay, well, my transformation was pretty specific and severe. In 2013, so 12 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And at the time, I had a fourth grader and a sixth grader. I have two sons, so they were 10 and 13 years old. I was hospitalized for approximately 3 weeks right at the start of school. And so one was in elementary school, one was in middle school. Had 6 months of treatment after a very extensive surgery. I had a 6-month recovery from my surgery and then also 6 months of chemo. And that caused trauma for my kids. Both of them had trauma in different ways. And after treatment, we got past a couple years. At the time, I should say I was 45 years old. I got past a couple of years, nothing else popped up. And my doctors, everyone assumed, oh, this was a one-off, a blip. I didn't have family history. I've never been super unhealthy or overweight or anything. And so it was just random and strange. And then unfortunately, in 2017, they found a mass in my liver that had been growing the whole time. So I had a liver met from the original colon cancer. Colon cancer typically goes to the lung and liver. And so that was a kick in the face and devastating. So I had a liver resection. So I had another terrible surgery that was a 6-month recovery. And so that was also traumatic. So my boys were then traumatized again. At that point, they were in 8th and 10th grade. Yes, because that was 4 years post chemo. So that really changed, not just me and my husband, but our family and our dynamic. And I think that my boys were, like I said, they had different trauma in different ways. And I really started thinking about, what's important in life, like, period. And also wondering, am I still going to be here? I don't think there was ever, when I was in treatment, it never occurred to me that I was supposed to die. I just kept marching. And luckily, at the time this happened, I'm one of the people who's now informed the world. Colon cancer is the #1 killer of men under 50 now, and it's the #2 of women under 50. Other women, it's breast cancer is #1. So I'm part of that group that this started happening. I mean, it's actually more common now, and why we have colonoscopies younger now. And so that's really the kick that kind of changed who I was and how I was going to navigate in this world and what was my contribution in this world.
Yeah, that's a really tough story. Thank you for sharing. And, that's usually something people never talk about when the family goes through crisis. And the caregivers, usually they're the least ones to get the attention they need. So do you talk about that when you are sharing your story?
Yeah, well, it's funny because I have been surrounded by other people who have had cancer and been ill. I've lost several friends who have died. I mean, I'm 57. I mean, I probably know a dozen parents that my kids went to school with their kids and they're no longer here. I also know younger people who have been ill who have passed away from what I have, and also people have gone through struggles. And my first thing I always say when I hear someone is ill is, okay, who's supporting the caregivers and who's supporting the family members? Because my husband, I will tell you, when we went out to dinner with friends after I got out of the hospital, before I started chemo, my friend told me after we met for dinner, she said, "You look great, and your husband looks awful." She's like, "Don't tell him I said that, but he looks like he's aged 20 years. And
Yeah.
you look fine."
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, I had a friend that passed away last year.
I'm sorry.
One of my closest friends from colon cancer.
Mhm.
So I know how it's really difficult. It's really difficult on the family. It's really difficult on the caregivers as well as the person. Um, I mean, obviously, who has the cancer. So is it in remission now,
Yeah, I
or
mean, I don't, it's funny because I I get my blood checked every 6 months now. I used to do it like every 3 months. I do it every 6 months now. There's a very sensitive marker. It's called CEA for colon cancer. And so basically we all have a CEA level. And so if you're a smoker, your CEA might be 5 or under. For a non-smoker, it should be 3 or under. But because if you smoke, it can be up a couple because your body is fighting cancer every time you smoke, right? So it's like a cancer fighting marker. And
Mhm.
so my CEA is super sensitive. And what it tells us is that if my CEA goes above a certain level, we have a problem. And that's how they determined my liver, because my CEA had always been constant. And then for some reason, I got a test and it had jumped. And so something took off
Mhm.
at a point, and then the level rose, and then they saw it. So it just took a while for, I guess, it to become detectable. So I checked my CEA
Mhm.
and I just live my life.
Mhm.
I've had a couple scares. The medical community is not perfect. It's called the practice of medicine because they're always practicing. I've been practiced on a lot. There have been a lot of mistakes made on me.
Mhm.
My liver surgery, they accidentally cut my colon. So they ripped me up multiple ways to get to me in an emergency. So, I mean,
I
I've
can
got
imagine.
scars like nobody's business. I've also was told 3 years ago that I had another mass in my liver.
Oh my God.
And I was about to go in for a biopsy, and the tumor radiology board at UC San Francisco met because that's where I was getting my diagnosis. And they discovered it's a shadow from a clip left in my liver from my surgery in
A
2017.
clip?
A clip
Oh
got
my
left in my
God.
liver.
Oh, wow.
That's
And
awful.
and by the way, my doctor, my oncologist wanted me to start chemo for 3 months before we even biopsied so that it could maybe eradicate it without even a biopsy. And I would have, if I had followed his guidance, I would have been doing chemo for a clip in my liver.
Oh my
Mm.
God.
Oh
And I
boy.
don't blame
Amazing.
him. I don't blame him. He's an oncologist.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He,
Mhm.
I trust him. I
Mhm.
I believe he saved my life. I trust him. He doesn't work with UCSF. He's on his own. But that was a mistake. Like I even pointed it out to him when the tumor board came back and they said, "We determined it's a shadow from a clip left in your liver." I said, "I could have been doing chemo." And he said, "I know."
Oh my God.
Oh my
Amazing.
gosh.
Oh,
Yeah.
another question, Erin, because I had breast cancer also, and one of my transformations was that I changed my stress levels. But because you know that sometimes when we are under a lot of stress, and I was with amazing stress before I got that. So, do you think that you have changed your pattern of behavior, your thoughts since you had the cancer and you are now? I mean, you think you have changed a completely different person from before and after, or do you think that that hasn't had
Um,
a
well, it's funny when you say the stress level stuff because I feel like now I'm not good about the sort of de-stress. I like things to be efficient. I like things to be right from the beginning. So I put that on myself. I will tell you one thing I think I changed. I think what changed in me was before cancer, I thought I could control everything.
Mhm.
I thought I was
Mhm.
in charge of everything. Guess what?
Type A.
I'm not.
Yeah.
None of us are.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing to recognize that and accept it. And you don't know what you don't know. And you can't really understand it until you experience it.
Yeah.
And my
Yeah.
experience is now I don't have control over it. Yeah, I can control what I eat, what I drink, but I'm having a glass of wine. I mean, people would say to me, "What do you mean you drink wine? Like you shouldn't be doing that." Well,
Yeah.
I'm still going to enjoy my life. I'm here. I'm
Hmm.
alive.
If it
Yeah.
So,
relaxes you.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's all in the mindset. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, the same thing they told me, but I think I changed. Another question, Erin, did you go into any kind of spiritual path, like start meditating, or no? I mean, you just transformed, and right now, as an advocate for care, right now you're helping people. What was your path? How did you end up doing what you're doing? I mean, how was this involved with your illness?
well, so it essentially both my kids were having some issues, but my younger son really like was struggling and started seeing a therapist. Now my older son had already had a therapist. He's very high functioning neurodivergent, and he had always been super sensitive. He had already had a therapist because he just feels the pain of the world. And my younger one has always been the one that we didn't like worry about. Like
Mhm.
Blake was always Blake. We didn't have to, and then Blake really had a tough time. So having watched both of them go through that with me, and then also the pandemic hitting and having kids stay home a year from school, seeing the isolation of that. Then I was a substitute teacher for 18 months on call in the county because so many teachers couldn't come back to school or wouldn't come back. And
Mhm.
and so I was basically showing up every day, like, where do you need me? What do you need me to do? Because all the schools knew me and knew they could just call me. I can go into AP Calc, I can be the school secretary, I can go into second grade, I can go into eighth grade. They knew I could handle pretty much anything.
You're playing
And
Mhm.
all the
so I spent
bases.
all this time with
Mhm.
kids
Mhm.
who were so traumatized. And by the way, I'm doing this with a mask on. They have
Yeah.
masks on. I can't even, I mean, a poor boy in my class, his shoulders are shaking. I'm like, why is he doing that? And I'm like, oh, he's crying. But I can't say he's crying because the mask is covering his face.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so I just it sort of kind of came to me that this is what I need to be doing. I started supporting a nonprofit that did mental health first aid classes through the National Council in DC.
Mhm.
And I began working, volunteering for them free, full time, and trying to get classes in schools. Then I moved to San Diego. They said, can you try to find a presence for us in San Diego? Because they were based in Central California. And so I did that. And I supported two different nonprofits trying to get education into schools. But what I found was that when I'm supporting nonprofits, there are really messy things happening in nonprofits. And I saw some treatment of employees that was not okay in my mind, especially for mental health
Yeah.
Mhm.
nonprofits.
Yeah.
And so a couple of incidents happened where all of a sudden the universe was kicking me in the face and saying, "You have to do this on your own. Like
Mm.
I
you have to
see.
be on your own."
Wow.
Amazing. Amazing.
And so I'm here now. I mean, I launched this on Monday. I mean, Cares Advocacies, it's a startup. I mean, the
Wait, you
past two
launched
years,
it when?
on Monday, my website was launched on Monday. My
Oh,
Wow,
curriculum was
congratulations.
finished. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
like I just finished my curriculum last week. My videos of my student that I currently have, and I'm going to get more students to give interviews.
Ooh.
That's going to be edited by tomorrow. So I've poured about 4 or 5 months and
Mhm.
tens of thousands of dollars, a lot. It's all privately funded.
Mhm.
Part of the issue right now with our mandates with the government is that the removal of DEI means the National Council removed all people from their curriculum that are not white and straight. Well,
Wow.
I take that back. They did include brown and black people, which actually surprised me when I saw, them remove my trans student. They removed a lot. So,
What?
my curriculum, yeah, my curriculum's totally inclusive. So I address neurodivergent risk. I address LGBTQ plus. The National Council's curriculum does not, and that's based on federal mandate, and they had to remove it because they get federal funds.
Oh my God. Can you
So I
can
don't
you
get
t
federal funds.
It's changing. It's evolving at such a rapid speed. You
yeah,
just have to adjust to however it's happening.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. Uh,
And it doesn't mean I was on campus today at a high school in San Diego, and I'm unfortunately tasked with giving them the National Council curriculum because it's a large public school and they could get in trouble. And I mean, if I have a student ask me a question about the LGBTQ plus community and risks, I have a permission from the principal to discuss it, but I can't put any of my slides up because I'm nervous. Like
yeah,
it's tough. It's a tough position.
Mm.
yeah.
So
It's
it's up to the individual to come up to you and ask you.
oh, because you work with
I,
kids also, right, Lolly?
Yes, Erin, I have a foundation with it's called Space for Art Foundation,
mm,
and we do space themed art workshops for kids in hospital who have cancer, in refugee camps, and that's our way of using art as a healing tool. So,
yeah.
have
Actually,
you?
we talk about that in my class because my manual has artwork from students that are showing their mental health challenges or crisis through their art. And so we talk about it.
Yeah, that's the key.
These
That's
pictures that
amazing.
have been
I'm so
drawn.
glad to hear that you're using art as a
Yeah,
way
because
to for them to communicate and release what they're feeling.
mhm.
Yeah.
And your
Yeah.
manual, what is the manual?
So I'm referring right now, the National Council provides a manual to students when I teach them. And so the manual that they produce has artwork from students from middle school through high school, and the pictures depict
Mhm.
what that student was feeling at the time. And some of them are really powerful. Some of them are really sad and emotional and powerful. And the curriculum, like I said, the curriculum is good, but it's not inclusive. It doesn't include all humans. It's lacking in some higher risk groups, which is part of the point of this. I mean, I go into classrooms and with my own eyes and ears, I see and hear at least a couple of neurodivergent students and a couple of LGBTQ plus. And those are the ones that I can see and hear with my own eyes and ears. So I know that there are others that I'm not immediately identifying. I mean, I'm usually really good about identifying neurodivergency, like off the bat.
Yeah, you have the intuition and the sensitivity. And another thing that I find it very interesting, what because I went to you had a special convention over there when you were working with suicidal kids.
Oh, the
That
panel,
was
the student panel.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was amazing. Can you tell us a little bit, because that's a very interesting topic. It's the suicide that's going on especially in teenagers, and that's a very interesting topic because you went from your cancer now helping as a purpose, helping kids because of your kids. That must have been a challenge for you because working with suicidal kids, it's strong, right?
Yeah. I love being in the classroom with them. Like
Mhm.
today, I mean, just the fact I had four males who kept wanting to talk. I mean, it's amazing. And the classes are usually more female heavy.
Hmm.
But these students want to talk about this. And as Annie knows, I've had these student panels multiple times, and it's where I have 5 to 6 students. They show up, they sit in front of, a group of 80, 100 adults, and I ask them questions. I can ask them about what was their experience with class and the education, but also we ask them just real questions like, well, why wouldn't you talk to your parents? Why wouldn't you seek help outside of your friends?
Hmm.
And they are so honest
Mhm.
and they want to keep talking and talking and talking.
Mm-hmm.
They'll talk for hours.
Mm-hmm.
And you ask them the questions.
I ask them the questions and they sit there with the microphone.
Mhm.
And I mean, it gets to the point, the last panel we had, it was during final season. So I felt terrible because the timing of it ended up, they were all kind of in the midst of finals or AP tests. It was in the spring. And so I really wanted to honor their time and their schedule. And I said, we need to finish by, I think I promised 8:30 p.m. And they just wanted to keep talking. And people just wanted to keep asking questions. And then finally, I just said to the ones, if you need to go, go. But if the ones that want to stay want to keep talking, they like to talk about this. They're very good at
They
communicating
feel
what's
safe with
working.
you. They
Yeah, they
Yes.
feel safe. She's a safe place for them. Then maybe they talk to you, what they don't talk with their parents.
Mhm.
How do you know exactly when there's an emergency or they need help? Because that's I mean, I've heard of so many kids that they say, well, I don't want to leave, or they start having suicidal thoughts. When is that the emergency when you have to come in and do something for them? When they start talking or they have another kind of behavior?
So the education it takes you through steps of
Mm-hmm.
checking in, listening, assessing.
Mhm.
Um, Challenges are more than just a bad day or two. That's
Mm-hmm.
something, you have a mental health challenge, it's interfering with your day-to-day existence. Okay. Everybody's allowed to have a bad day or two. Nobody's supposed to be happy 24/7. Okay. But when it starts interfering with your ability to experience joy and live your day-to-day life, typically, that's when we have a challenge. A challenge can turn into a crisis. It doesn't have to, it doesn't always, especially if we can address some of the challenge early versus it kind of takes on a life of its own.
Mhm.
So when it becomes a crisis and an emergency
Mm-hmm.
is when someone actually starts saying, I don't want to be here. I want to
Mhm.
die. I want to kill myself.
Mhm.
That's a crisis. That is an emergency.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do trainings for parents with regard to youth, we do instruct that when your child were to say, I don't want to be here, or I just want to die, or I'm just going to kill myself, or I want to kill myself, this is not innate. But the first question that should be asked is, do you have a plan? And if you have a plan, can you please tell me what that plan is? As a parent
Mm.
Wow. Wow.
or as anybody, even, I mean, I'm going to give you an example. My,
Mm-hmm.
my fifth grader,
Mhm.
Blake, my fifth grader,
Mhm.
said this to me one evening. He was alone. I don't know where my husband and son were. They were probably at a sports practice. He started crying. I didn't realize an incident had happened at school because school didn't call me. And he said, I just want to kill myself. And he had been tortured at school for his weight. And he also was in the aftermath. This was a year after my chemo.
Mhm.
And I looked at him and I said, have you thought about how you would do that? And he got up, he was crying, went and found the serrated bread knife in our knife drawer and showed me exactly where he was going to slit his throat. And he was going to be successful. There was going to be no saving.
Mhm.
Oh my God. So he had the whole plan. How did you feel at that moment? What were your feelings?
I said, so we have to go to the emergency room now. And I start crying. And he said, I know. And then he started crying more. And then we went and got in the car and we both called my husband crying. And he met us at the hospital. And I tell this story at parent education events. And I've had a mother stand up while I'm telling this and completely lose it because her son stood in their living room telling them he wanted to kill himself. And they kept saying he was being dramatic. And he did. He did
Mhm.
commit suicide. And she was at my parent education. And when she heard me say this, she was angry because she's like, no one ever told me this as a mother.
Yeah, I had a
It's
friend that her daughter passed through that, and she went to a psychologist, and the psychologist told her that her daughter was manipulating. Can you imagine? After she was saying that she was going to kill herself. So that is, I mean, you can never take that for granted, and you just have to take them. I mean, it's hard.
and that and the manipulation thing, okay, like yes, that there's a possibility for that, but are we gambling on whether this is manipulation or real?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Are we gambling that? And yeah, our recommendation is you take the exclamation of it or the sentiment of I don't want to be here as, yes, this is cause for concern. The education takes you through the steps. The education teaches how to speak about these things. There are ways that you can even inquire with a student or a friend that is much better than, oh, so you're not eating with your friends anymore. What's going on? There's first person language that we use. I've noticed. Like, I've noticed you're not showing up to baseball practice. Like, is everything okay? Or I've noticed you haven't been hanging out with so and so, or the group. Or there's just, I've noticed is less accusatory. It's less judgmental. We talk a lot about non-judgmental communication in listening and in communicating. And we also talk about it could take many approaches. It could take weeks. Like there are times where, keep in mind, I have two sons. The younger one, who was the one in crisis in fifth grade. Was that fifth grade? Yeah, that was fifth grade. Okay, that same son, I didn't know this. In eighth grade, when I had my liver surgery, he started self-harming. And we didn't know.
So you think that all your cancer process affected your kids? I mean, it started there.
Yeah, it's a control. It's trauma. It's trauma and control.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's self-harm's control.
Yeah.
Disordered eating, anorexia, it's control.
Yeah.
And boys are now self-harming more. It used to be that people thought, oh, only girls self-harm. And a lot of that had to do with, I'm going to go not off on a tangent, but let's face it, I grew up in the 70s. Women have always been objectified in the media and print, on television. But since the internet and social media now, boys are just as objectified. Boys are experiencing what women have experienced, boys and men now. They're experiencing the same body objectification that they did in the past.
Social media bullying, is that what you're talking? Is there a lot of bullying?
Part of it.
Yeah.
And it's display. It's display. Like guys weren't always displaying their six-pack abs, but women have always been in bathing suits and magazines, right?
Yeah.
So we have more males that have picked up the self-harming, and that's a control thing. And so we didn't find out he had been self-harming. We didn't find out until 6 years later when he was in college.
Oh,
wow. He went all the way through high school. He went all the way through high school.
How did you change this mindset of harming? How did you discover this?
No, we didn't change his mindset. He had another crisis. He had a crisis at college where he was a very competitive, he's about to graduate, but they both went to an extremely competitive university. And he was there and was feeling imposter syndrome and that he wasn't smart enough. And he started hiding in his room and trying to drink himself to death. And I haven't even talked to him about what drugs he was doing to try to go down a rabbit hole. And fortunately, this is why it's so great for students to be educated on this. His roommate noticed he had bought a hunting knife. And his roommate asked, why do you have that hunting knife? And he said, oh, I have it for our events, for our party. They're in a fraternity together. And the roommate told his mother, who happens to be a pediatrician, so a mandated reporter, Blake has a knife, and he's also been hiding in his room, not going to class. I think he's been drinking a lot. And so the mother is friends with me and basically phoned Blake and said, you're going to talk to your mom or your dad, or I have to call someone or school or the police. And so then Blake called me and came home temporarily. And he had been cutting. He told me, I said, when did this start? I didn't know. And he said 8th grade. So it had been 6 years.
Oh my God.
So he would just cut himself slowly, little. I mean,
yeah, it's a relief. It's a relief. It's a way to control pain. You're in pain. And then you can make pain that you control. And I'm going to say this because a student of mine that I am close with, that I spend time with, and she is currently in outpatient treatment. She's had trauma beyond this. I mean, she had a father pass away. Her mother then had a traumatic brain injury in a car accident a year later. She's a self-harmer. She has recovered from anorexia, but the self-harm sort of substituted in as a coping skill. And what she describes is there's no other feeling like it. So it's really hard to give it up.
And did Blake the self-harming came after your cancer. That was
Yeah,
afterwards.
it started when I had
That
my
was trauma.
It
second
started, so
incident.
that was his
That
point
was
of
his way of controlling his
Coping.
pain and also just his way of coping.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like Gabor Mate. Remember that I went to see him. I remember that I called you, Erin, to see if we could go together, and he's saying, yeah, most of this comes from trauma. I mean, even addiction comes from trauma. So it's a coping mechanism, I guess. I mean, it's how to deal with something that hurts, and maybe like cutting yourself, it hurts less than anxiety. I mean, I've had a panic attacks. Well, Lolly has had panic attacks. One question, Erin. Are these kids, do they give them antidepressive or certain kind of medicines for this, or what would be that treatment that they
So
do?
it depends. I mean, there are definitely medications that help even out feelings. As far as self-harm, I'm not going to speak to whether or not medication helps with self-harm because the self-harm is very common and having setbacks with self-harm is very common too.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mhm.
as far as medication goes, those are always things that I address that really need to be discussed with a physician
Mhm.
because given anybody's circumstance, whether there is a chemical imbalance, there needs to be a diagnosis. I do know there's a school of thought where everybody was throwing medication at
Mhm.
ADHD and ADD, and
Mhm.
and a tremendous amount of people do have ADHD and ADD, and that's considered neurodivergent.
Mhm.
Ah,
Oh, wow.
So
And how is
we have a remarkable population of neurodivergent individuals. We know this now. And we know a lot of people, women are not diagnosed as frequently. They tend to be underdiagnosed even if they are neurodivergent. So the medication question is that is something for someone to figure out with their physician
Mhm.
because it also takes time to figure out what right meds were.
Mhm.
mm-hmm.
exactly? And how is Blake doing now?
He's going to graduate college in May, and he's doing great. He speaks with his therapist once a week. And my older son also has a therapist, speaks with his therapist once a week. My older son has had his struggles too. He has been suicidal as well. His is much more around social isolation,
Mm-hmm.
and um, his is different.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
They're very different in their mental health struggles.
Yeah.
Amazing, Erin, and wow.
No,
I'm so
you're
grateful you
shedding,
have such a courage to tell this story and you can help so many people. I mean, I was
Yeah.
telling you we're an international podcast, so we're going to
Yeah.
be everywhere. I hope so.
Yeah.
So
The
do you
Yeah.
think
country,
And
and
I
there's so
think
many
that's why
people that need it.
I do think that's why the students in class, like, they can connect with me because I'm really vulnerable and I tell them, like, I'm just not coming here and teaching you something that I have no experience with.
Mhm.
And I have kids and I talk about my kids and I have their permission. And I mean, the students, when they hear that this is lived experience and that I mean, I hate to say it, it's becoming more common now. So it's
Mm-hmm.
a
yeah.
relief, I think, sometimes for them to hear this because talking about it, we're reducing the stigma. Having these conversations, we're reducing the stigma around all of this.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's so important at this age, because once they become into adults, you're giving them a head start
Yeah. Yeah.
and
And
saving a lot of people
they,
from a lot of pain.
well, and I mean, let's face it, our generation, okay, I'm Gen X. I
Hmm.
have boomer parents who don't believe in this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
It's
we,
funny because it's not a belief. It's not, it's fact.
Yeah, but they don't believe in it. I mean, it's just you're manipulating. I mean,
yeah,
those were our
yeah.
parents.
Right. And then we as parents, or I say myself as a parent, my children grew up so differently because of the internet and social
Right.
media. And I can never say, oh, I know what you're going through, because I didn't. That's not my lived experience. And I'm very careful when I'm in classes to say, like, I would never presume to know, like, how much this could suck for you right now, because I didn't grow up with this, right? Like, you can tell
No,
me and I can have empathy and I can say, wow, that sounds awful. I am so glad that everything was not photographed when I was in high school. I
no.
was
I mean,
trouble
Yeah.
in high
when
school.
we
Could you
were in
Ask
high
imagine?
anybody.
school, nobody knew where we were.
No,
We were
no.
under the radar. I mean, the
Yeah.
moment we
We
walked
could
out
have
the
been
door,
dead.
Latchkey. We were latchkey
Yeah,
kids.
we were forgotten.
We-
If there were photos of me doing things I did in high school, holy moly. I was driving my parents' car at 14. I was driving all over town when they go out of town. I mean,
Mhm,
I did some really unsafe things.
mhm.
And but I can't tell them I know their lived experience. I can listen and I can try to understand and meet them where they are, and everybody should be doing that. When I talk with people who are hiring and they say, oh, I'm not hiring recent college graduates and blah blah, I say this is our emerging workforce. You need to figure this out, how you communicate with our developing emerging workforce.
Mhm.
Like, we all have to be part of this. It's not just, oh, they're going to conform to how we see things. That's not
Yeah.
how it works.
Mhm. Now,
Yeah,
did
amazing.
with the therapists with your
Mhm.
sons, do they have to do work on themselves? Do they have a protocol that they're where they work on
I
themselves?
don't ask them. I their
So you
their
just let
therapy
them
is
be.
private.
Yeah.
And if they discuss it with me, if I say, how was it? And they say something, it was really interesting. My older son, he's told a couple therapists, yeah, you're not working for me. We're not aligned. And I appreciate that he did that, because we both know, I mean, I know I've had therapists.
Mhm.
Sometimes someone just isn't right for you and doesn't click for you. And I talk about that in class. So, but I don't know what they are tasked with doing or asked to do in therapy,
Mhm.
because I don't inquire with them and they're not
Mhm.
sharing with me. I will say my son called me the other day, my younger son in college, and he said, do you have a minute? I want to discuss something with you. And I was like, oh, am I in trouble? Because it
Mhm.
was funny how he said it. And he was having an issue with a friend and wanted to talk through it with me because he was really angry, and said, I want to know how to deal with this. And I said, oh, you didn't want to wait to talk to Jennifer. That's the name of his therapist. And he said, no, I wanted your opinion because, I don't want to ask her everything. And so I was kind of happy that he came to me and I could counsel him through that, instead of him wanting to wait until, 3 days later. But yeah, I don't really ask them a lot.
No, that's
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
no,
Mhm.
but I think that was a bonding moment that you had
Mhm.
with them.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
do they see how they're how do they understand what they went through, all this trauma, how they have changed, how they have evolved?
They do, because we've had a couple of we had one really terrible incident with the four of us on vacation, and my older one got extremely upset with me, and something unacceptable happened, and it rocked us all. And so we've had many conversations around not allowing something to get to that point where someone would lash out in a way that's totally unacceptable. And
Mhm.
you talk about the medication thing.
Yeah.
That's when medication became mandatory,
Mhm.
Well,
Mhm.
because
you're treating that relationship with so much respect in order to keep a relationship for a long time. Because if you have a bad fight, most likely, in some cases, the family just spreads, but you're willing to bring it back.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's a
You know,
challenge. It's a challenge. And especially while Erin was talking, I was thinking Lolly and McLovia. Well, McLovia's mom is also Mexican. It's Mexican. And we have Latin moms. And they used to hide it. I remember I learned that my grandmother had two brothers that killed themselves, but society especially in Ecuador, they wouldn't say anything. And I've had friends that I know they had a part of somebody in the family that committed suicide, and they would say it's a heart attack, and they don't understand the damage they're doing to the kids, because that could be genetic and just not because of religious beliefs, because that's a sin or whatever. They're not saying the truth, and they don't know the damage they can do to the families. I don't know if that's happening here. I think California is completely different. I find it more open. How do you see this, Erin?
It's so funny that you asked that, because I actually posted to the community about offering a free class for parents, and I didn't get one person that messaged me. And so, and I know people need the help, and I know they need this. I think there's some still stigma and shame
Yeah, there
attached.
is. It's a
It,
taboo.
it's
You don't want to talk about it.
It's an embarrassment.
It's bigger than, the shame is bigger than watching the person suffer and go through this.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's really about just, it's not about you. It's about the person. How do you help your loved one?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I am happy that I am in California, only because if I were in one of the states where, like, I couldn't even probably be doing what I'm doing with my own curriculum. I feel okay doing it here. Although I have to admit, I was a little bit nervous about, wait, so am I going to get targeted because I'm now including people that some people think shouldn't be included? But I had to just leave
No.
that and walk away from that. But I will say, I do think that California is better about talking, trying to reduce stigma. We have a long way to go.
Yeah.
The fact that I'm
Well,
going into a 2,000 kids school and I'm training 20 kids. That's it. Like, each school, I've only had between 20 and 30 kids at each school. These schools don't have the funds for this. And these are just special circumstances where foundation came up with a little bit of money to do this. This is Governor Gavin Newsom signed into law a bill that was supposed to mandate mental health curriculum starting January 1st, 2024, and we have nothing. So we are passing things or enacting a law that then just, there's no accountability for this actually happening. And I have reached out to state people. There's an assembly person, Darshana Patel, who I have spoken about with this. Like, what is happening with this? Why do we say this is supposed to be in schools and we don't have it? And I'm struggling to even get onto campus to have 20 kids be trained in this.
well, I think that it's important for everybody. It's, it's not a matter of group, who you are, how you feel. It's about,
Sorry, I
improving.
turned on a light. Sorry.
It looked like you just turned, like, it's
There.
I
I
love it.
turned a light on because it's getting darker. So
at
sorry.
first I didn't even realize that you had that was a fake background.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's a cool room she's in.
It's a cool room.
I know. Sorry,
No,
sorry to interrupt you.
sorry,
Lolly.
sorry, Lolly.
No, but I think that it's a, these kind of programs definitely are needed by society. And if they don't see the importance of it, maybe they should measure the amount of money that is lost. The cost that these issues, this has a cost.
Yeah.
And when it's measured in that sense monetarily, then maybe they should see that it's cheaper to treat it than not treat it. It's cheaper to acknowledge it and do something about it.
Yeah, we know these unhoused people. A lot of unhoused people have mental health issues, and that's part of the reason that they've wound up unhoused. There's a domino effect.
There's
for
a
sure.
domino. I mean, if you have a problem with a worker who has these mental issues, it's costing your company money. And
So-
if they can be treated before they leave high school, when they live with the tools to manage their own mental health, then that is definitely a benefit for society. So maybe, they should see it that way.
Yeah.
Do you have to go through the board at your school, or
Oh my gosh, the school thing is so,
the
every school
superintendent?
is its own entity. They have
Yeah.
Yeah.
autonomy. So
I work
even,
at a
get
school.
this,
Yeah.
like even a high school district with 4 or 5 high schools, they all can do things differently in their own
Yeah.
way. It's not a district mandate. It's not a district direction. It is, oh no, we do this way. Oh no, we do this way. Oh no, like it's every single school is a whole new thing.
You don't
Yeah,
know what you're
thank you.
walking into. Yeah, it's true.
I'm thinking of something, Erin. You need help from private companies so they can send money because we can help you with this podcast. Where can they reach you? What do they need? I mean, to leave a message to private companies that want to help, or
Yeah.
I think
If
that's
I
the
mean,
plan B, right?
no, yeah, here was my ultimate goal, was because my curriculum's being offered not only for schools but also for workplace. Because Lolly's point, think about it. I recently had a president of a very well-known company. I won't name it right now. I was having dinner with her, and she started describing one of her colleagues to me on her team. Okay, she's president, so this is like one of 20 people on her team. And this individual, she was describing the checking in her office constantly, just he needed validation a lot. She was describing to me what was happening. And I said, well, you realize he's neurodivergent, right? And I started explaining to her, I could tell by the patterns that he he needed like that check-in. He needed to know, like, okay, and so I said to her, this is what I'm talking about. If you understand what is going to make him feel secure so that he can be more efficient and be more confident, that's going to help you and him and the whole team.
Hmm.
Mm, mm,
But
Yeah.
it's even understanding, because she said, I know something's going on with him. I just don't know what it is, and I don't know how to deal with it.
Right.
mhm,
Because
mhm,
we're not trained.
Right.
mhm.
And my older son, I mean, he works in a very stressful industry. He works in wealth management. I said to him, I'm not sure this is the best thing for you with some of
Hmm.
your mental health challenges. This
Mhm.
is very stressful, and you also need feedback constantly with things. So, and he's like, no, I want to do it. Well, it was a really rough first year.
Mm.
Wow, he's getting out of his comfortable zone, and that's what we say. There's where the magic starts. I mean, maybe he gets better because he's going to the challenge, and then everything is going to be easier, I would think. I don't know.
Land, you know what, for someone who's neurodivergent, not necessarily. It's just about setting systems in place for yourself where you can be more successful. So
Mhm,
I coach a neurodivergent man who lives in Grand
mhm,
Rapids, Michigan, and I talk to him on Zoom on Sundays. And he is living independently now for the first time as a 25-year-old. He's an electrician. He works 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. And he basically reached out to me because he said, I need help with just the executive functioning of my life, getting things done when I get home from work at 11:30 p.m. and I'm not doing anything and I need help. And so we talk about, first I wanted to do a schedule for him, and he felt like that was too overwhelming. So I said, okay. So I gave him 2 tasks for the week. One task, I want you to have 30 to 60 minutes of joy the second you walk in the door home from work so that you can decompress.
Hmm.
That's your
mhm,
decompression.
mhm.
I said, I'm offering you to do it the second you walk in the door. Or do you want to walk in the door, do the things you don't feel like doing, like whether it's your dishes, your laundry, whatever you need to do, and then do your relaxation as your reward? Or do you want to do your decompressing relaxation the second you get home with the intention that then you've rested yourself and you can get the tasks done? And he said, I think I'd like to do it when I walk in the door. Now, my two boys, they would each pick something. My older one would do it right when he walked in the door. My younger one would want to get all the cruddy tasks done and then have his relax. Like it's a personality thing.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
said, okay, I want you to try that for a week. And I went 30 to 60 minutes of joy. That means, and I asked him, what do you like to do for joy? And he said, I'd either listen to music or play chess online. I said, okay, so you're going to do one of those. Then the other task was, he told me he goes to bed between 3:30 and 4:30 a.m. And so I said, can you please make a commitment to go to bed at 3:30 and get that hour extra of sleep instead of an hour less? I said, because that actually helps with your functioning too, if we're well rested.
So it's like baby
And
steps, right? I mean, little by
Yeah, but
little. You
it's
cannot.
incremental. And when
Uh-huh.
I suggested to him doing the schedule, he was like, oh my gosh, that's too much. So I'm like, okay. So I'm going to do the schedule in piecemeal, and eventually he's going to have a schedule.
Wow.
But
Amazing.
it's just
But he took the
working with
first
people.
step. He took
Yeah.
he knew he needed help. And I
Yeah.
think most
And
people don't know that they
right.
need help.
He reached out, and I said, and then I want you to circle back to me and tell me how it went. And if we want to add on, or you want to give it another week if it didn't go well, or if you decide like I can't do this, that's okay too. But like this is the process. And so
Did he
I
reach
give him
out?
as an
Yep.
example because we all have certain personality traits, and the neurodivergence, it's just a different way of thinking. It's not better, worse, bad, good. It's just a different way of thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's another chip.
It's yeah, like in art school, we find our own process of art creation. And
Right.
this is the way. I mean, we learn about ourselves, but now that I see it, we all have a process in life of how we
Right.
function.
Right.
And it is important to find guidance when you're lost, or when you don't know, you just don't know. I mean, how hopefully with this podcast people will see that you can get help
Yeah.
to find your own personal process in
And
life.
how can people get a hold of you
Yeah,
on?
so so the website is caresadvocacy.com, and www.caresadvocacy.com. And anyone can reach out to me through the website, or anyone can email me personally at ERIN, my first name, at caresadvocacy.com.
And then Annie has a question that
The last question they
yeah.
always make me do. Okay, Erin, what message would you like to give to humanity of everything that we have talked?
I think my message is keep hope.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. You can
It's
do
a
it.
big one. Mhm.
Yeah, she did it. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, you never thought you could die.
Yeah, it wasn't optional.
What you're doing is so beautiful.
Thank
It's
you.
Yeah,
so beautiful.
Amazing.
Thank you.
you're
I
And
very
you're
appreciate
helping
humble.
that.
so many, and it's good that you're working with them at a young age.
That's
We
key.
we interviewed a gentleman who works in prisons, or he
I
Oh,
was
yeah.
a
saw,
I
I,
prisoner.
I,
send them.
I watched it. I
Yeah,
watched it.
and it's intense as they get older. So it's the shadow work but you're doing it. You're giving
Right,
them the tools, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
right,
You're putting a
right.
little bit of light around the
Hmm.
world.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
another
Thank you.
thing we do for every guest that is Maclovia,
If she'd
she
like.
takes an angel card as a present for every guest. So the
Okay.
card that we always send a little good message because they're all good.
And I
Thank you.
I
Hmm.
have.
And it
It's
always
funny.
coincides. I don't know. Let's hope so.
Um, oops, here they are.
What is it?
Well,
The one
these
that falls
are,
always.
yeah, it's this
Okay.
deck,
Mm-hmm.
Angel Answers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I have these. And they like to go like this. I see people going like this. Oh, they just fell.
And,
I'm
and
going
you
to
always
put the
take the one that
card.
falls for Erin. Yeah. She always takes the one that falls for our
That's
guests.
fine. I've like actually fell on my face recently twice, so that's appropriate for me.
So this
What
one
is
here,
it?
it
We can't see
says
it.
perfect timing.
huh.
Ah,
Perfect timing.
so
And
yes, you started.
So that's very interesting, because doing this right now was a little bit risky because of the things that are happening. And so that's really interesting.
well, I
Perfect
think things are
timing. Okay, let's
changing.
let's hope so.
Let me just read you a
Let
little.
read what does perfect timing mean for
Okay.
Erin.
Yeah. So it says this is the perfect timing for the situation you've asked about. Move forward with confidence. Don't delay or hesitate, because an energy gateway is presently open for you. Conditions are ripe. Even if you don't feel prepared, rest assured that they are. That's your
Yes.
message.
Wow. Sorry, I'm turning this down because this is just getting too dark for me in
Yeah.
here. Um, Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
So I'm going to be vulnerable. No, I'm just going to be vulnerable for a second and tell you doing this was terrifying for me. Launching this, it was
Okay.
terrifying.
Yeah. Well,
And
yeah.
I was almost forced a little bit to do it quickly because I'm doing a conference next week, the Behavioral Tech Conference in downtown San Diego with a colleague. And so I was on a deadline and she said, do you want to do this? And if you're going to do this, you need to get all your stuff together immediately. Like this is going to be a race for you to get it done. And so I said yes. And then I thought, uh-oh, I really have to do this now. And I was terrified. But now that it's done, okay, here we go.
Exactly. If
I
you
think it's
feel
going to be
fear,
beautiful.
then you
I think
know it's
it's,
the right path.
yeah.
You have
So
to
everything's
go.
always fearful when you first start, but I think it's what you're doing is beautiful. You're going to be supported.
Beautiful. We love it.
You're a warrior.
You are. You are a
Yeah.
warrior.
I share everything, and I've been even told by some people that were very close to me, family members, that I'm not discreet enough. And I put it all out there.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
while
Don't
some may
worry.
say it's not discreet, I also don't want the stigma. And so the more I talk about some of these things, I mean, there's stigma with cancer. There's shame around it.
Yeah.
There's shame around colon cancer.
No,
I
yeah,
felt
yeah.
shame.
Mhm.
No, totally. I had an molar pregnancy, which turned cells into cancer. And just by saying that, people were very uncomfortable,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because it had to do with the uterus, things you cannot mention,
Mm.
you know.
Well,
And
we support you 100%.
no, yeah,
We support you 100%. So
Thank
if
you.
that
Thank
helps.
you. Yeah. No, thank you. No, I
Yeah.
just decided those are my people, the people who are willing to be out there and talk about things, it's stigma reducing, whether it's talking about
yeah,
illness, mental health, um, struggles within marginalized communities. Like the more we talk about it, it reduces the stigma, is my opinion. So I talk about everything all the time.
that's
love it.
excellent.
I
We'll follow
love it.
your lead.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. And thank you for
yeah,
this opportunity. I so appreciate this, Anna Maria. And I loved meeting both of you,
Thank you, likewise.
Maclovia and Lolly. Thank you for this opportunity. I am so grateful. Thank
And
you.
you are
yeah.
very
So
We're on
are
the
grateful to
same
we.
path.
you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome to come
Awesome.
anytime.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Okay.
Erin. Bye bye.
See ya,
Okay,
guys.
Bye.
Bye.